What's up guys, my name is Andy. In this video, it's time to change the oil in the recent 347 stroker build that I put in my classic Mustang. Normally, you would follow your engine builder's recommendation of the break-in cycle, however many miles he wants you to put on your motor before you change the oil and then send it, right? Well, in my setup, my engine builder had said that I need to put about 500 miles on this car, try to keep it below 4,000 RPM the whole time, and then when you're done, let's go ahead and change the oil, change the filter, and then you'll be good to go. Well, recently, not too long ago, I got done installing the new Edelbrock RPM air gap intake manifold on my car, and I'm an idiot. I spilled coolant down inside the distributor hole while I was doing that swap. And it's completely my fault. I should have put a towel down there. In the previous videos I've done where I have done an upgrade on the intake manifold, I had put a towel down there and I did spill a little bit of coolant each one of those, but it was fine because that towel would catch it, and I completely just fumbled that one, and that's all my fault. So because of that, I've got a little bit of coolant down inside the oil. It's probably not enough to make a big deal, but I really don't want that coolant to mix with the oil and then go through the oil pump and get pushed everywhere. And then I'm gonna always have that kind of frothy, foamy, milkshake looking residue in the motor because of that, and I'll never be able to get all of it out. Now's the time to take advantage of that. I have not started the motor since I put that intake manifold on. I've been itching to do it, but I said, you know what? Let's just go ahead and get the oil changed. I think I'm like 260 miles or something like that into my break-in of this, and I just don't want to flush that coolant through the system. I want to get it out of the oil, and right now it's because of the way it's set up, it should be sitting at the very bottom of my oil pan, so when I pull that plug, it should be the first step that comes out. I don't know, let's just get it out of there. And then while we're doing this, I've got a tool that I'm going to, when I take that oil filter off, I'm going to cut the top of the oil filter off, and I want to take a look at that filter, and we'll get a chance to see if there's any metal shavings or anything in that filter that's not, well, I guess you want it there, not in the motor, but this is a good chance to take a look at that, and then put everything back together, and then I can fire it up and then go for some more driving, which is, I really want to do that. So let's go ahead and dive in and get this oil changed and see how much coolant actually ended up in the oil. All right, let's go ahead and get this plug pulled. I was wiping off the drain plug here, getting it ready to put back in, and I forgot that this has a magnetic tip on here, so I wiped off some of, you can kind of see, there's the oil on here, and then there's some black, and that was the residue or the stuff that was sticking to the magnet part of this oil drain plug there. So it didn't look too bad. There was no chunks stuck to it, so I guess that's the important thing. You're gonna have little pieces of stuff in here, little tiny, I mean, you can tell, well, you can't really tell on here, but yeah, this looked pretty good. That's probably as much as I'm gonna get out of this thing, so let's just go ahead and put the plug back in, tighten it down. Now let's go ahead and take the oil filter off. This is something I always struggle with. I always put it on too tight when I put it on, so when I go to take it off, it becomes a nightmare. Let's see how I do. I think I got lucky this time. I'm just going to use your standard Ford Motorcraft FL-1A part number oil filter. Nothing fancy here. And before we put on there, just make sure you just put some oil on this seal before you thread it onto the housing. Make sure if the seal from the other filter sticks to the block, make sure you pull that off of here, because that is something that bit me in the past. I didn't realize that was on there, and I tried to put another filter on and it just blew oil everywhere. It was not fun. I don't want to do that again. All right, we got 7 quarts of oil to put in here, so let's get started. All right, that's 4 quarts. And we need to do another 3 quarts. Just a little bit more. There we go. Okay. That's 7 quarts. Try to minimize any spilling. Don't want to get it all over the motor and the headers and everything and smoke everywhere when it fires up. And the trick for putting these guys in there, if you get a little bit of oil off here and just kind of rub it on this part up here of the breather, it should just slide right in. There, just like that. All right, so let's take a look at the inside of the filter here and see if we can see anything inside here from the oil there, from the engine break-in. All right, guys, I'm gonna try to cut this filter, the top of this filter off, and I've got one of these generic filter cutter tools, and that we just put it in here and it should be able to cut it off. And the reason why you want to use something like this is the way this thing cuts the edge, it doesn't introduce any metal shavings into the filter, which is ultimately what I mean. If you took a hacksaw to it, you're gonna get shavings everywhere, right? So something like this, I think I paid like $15 for this or something online, though this is pretty cheap. So let's see if I can figure this thing out. I'm already messing it up. There we go. Oh boy, okay. Let's see here. So this thing does look dirty, but it doesn't look like it's full of metal shavings. Get this out of here. There's probably a right and a wrong way of doing this, and I'm doing it wrong, I'm sure. This is my first time doing it this way, so we'll see how big a mess I can make. Yeah, there is, you're not gonna be able to see it. There's very subtle sparkles in here, but that should be okay just because, you know, we are wearing this motor in, but what we don't wanna see is copper color stuff, right? We don't wanna see chunks, but we've just got the subtlest little tiny bit of little tiny, yeah, I don't know how much that's gonna pick it up in the camera, but so far this doesn't look horrible. You know, there's not a massive amount of it, or there's not chunks. Now there's bits of filter stuff and glue and everything coming off here that looks like chunks, but this stuff, that's all part of this stuff up here, so that's okay. Yeah, see all this stuff I'm breaking off the bottom? This is part of the glue that holds the filter in there. That looks like chunks of stuff, and that's part of the filter, so that's okay. Guys, I don't know, so far this is looking pretty good. There's nothing in here that's scaring me. There's nothing that, yeah, this just looks like break-in stuff, so I think we're gonna be okay. I think we can send it on this motor. All right. So guys, that's it. That is the oil change done. I think we're good to go. I think I can go ahead and start to drive the car like I want. We changed the oil like we were supposed to. We didn't find anything in the filter that was bad. Didn't have any problems. I think we're good to go. I'm anxious. All right, guys, if you liked the video, give me a thumbs up. And if you subscribe, I appreciate it because it helps my channel out. And we'll see you in the next one.